Nico, you are going to kick us off here. Who's your winner?
For me, Atletico Madrid is a front runner for one of the winners in the season. I mean, you look at Robin Lenormand, you look at Alexander Sorloth, but you also look at Julian Alvarez and Conor Gallagher. The names that have left, obviously, Saul, I think that's your Gallagher replacement, right? For Saul being gone. But Çağlar Söyüncü and Stefan Savic, those were kind of the two center backs that have been in line post Golin. There's always been kind of like, who's that next top center back in line to kind of uphold that Atletico Madrid standard? And they've gone and gotten the starting center back of the Spanish national team from Real Sociedad. So it's the vision is great. Obviously, we're waiting on confirmation of the other two attackers, but this looks like a very well thought out rebuild by Atletico Madrid, and I hope it goes well for them.
I agree with this. I think it's a very strong case. They have been one of the more aggressive teams in this transfer window. Nigel, do you agree?
I agree. I think for me as well, I would have agreed with Nico and made that pick. But Atletico Madrid are going the right way. I think for me, one of the good signings I think is going to be a powerhouse is if it does happen to go for Julian Alvarez. I think that there with Griezmann, the link up there and just watching the football dynamic, how that will work, will be so successful. And we talk a lot about culture and understanding stuff. Going to Diego Simeone, an ex-Argentinian legend, and having Alvarez go there as well is just going to be a match made in heaven. I think they're just going to understand each other, the work rate, the characteristics Alvarez shows already as a player, as a striker, is the type of characteristics that Diego Simeone used to show as a centre midfielder. So I just think that is going to be made a match made in heaven, and that's the long term. They're going to have a striker there, World Cup winner already, for the long term to really become a cult hero and a legend at that club.
Yep, 100% agree. Who's your winner, Nigel?
My winner at the moment, who's impressed me, is Aston Villa, one of my old clubs. I think they've done some great bit of business in there. Amadou Onana is a great signing coming into that midfield. Ian Maatsen, for me, is another great signing, a steal from a Chelsea that's lacking direction and identity. Ross Barkley as well, another player. This is his second stint at club Aston Villa. Was their last in the 2021-22 season after he left Chelsea. But this is a more mature and improved Ross Barkley, and we saw how important he was to Luton Town last season and deserved his moves. See Douglas Luiz leave, Coutinho, and also Diaby. And now Diaby leaving for me was a big surprise because I felt that when he came in at the start of last season, he made such a massive impact to the club. And then to let him go, but from a business perspective, the money they sold him for, you've got to give credit to Aston Villa there. I still believe that they're really missing a recognised striker. Yes, Cameron Archer's come back to the club, coming back on loan. But there is no recognised striker there, and also a goalkeeper. I think that Martinez is a big personality, big character, really like everything about him.
You guys already have a recognised striker?
I mean, Ollie Watkins, but you still need more. I think when you look at Aston Villa now, competing in the new formatted Champions League with more games, and in the Premier League, to stay competitive for that top four race, with all these other clubs that are going to be competing, you need to have a squad. Because whenever we talk about the likes of Manchester City, we say that it's unfair when you look at their squad. They can literally put two teams in the Premier League.
They do have 2-11s
and finish in the top four. So for all the teams that are trying to get there, you have to have that same capability. You have to look at that dynamic and try and build a good enough squad. So Aston Villa in the right direction. I still feel they're missing the goalkeeper, and they definitely probably need to get another striker.
Between Diaby and Douglas Luiz, that's about 110 million euros. That's unbelievable business.
It's great business. One player that barely played, and Diaby certainly wasn't. It didn't look like he was going to come to fruition.
He started well. I think that he had a little tough time after he came out of the team. But for a club's perspective, we all understand the business of it. This is football. For when you get that offer for a player you just brought in for his age, it's great business.
It's genius, especially in the world we live in now with PSR and financial fair play. Being able to sell someone for that amount, get him off the books. Douglas Luiz felt like they were pressured to move him on, but this.
How come?
I just felt like for PSR-wise, you had to get rid of one, maybe two max players to balance those books. They're one of those teams that are just touching the red line. On
you get rid of Douglas Luiz and you bring in Ross Barkley and Amadou Onana, you give yourself a lot of versatility. Amadou Onana, box-to-box midfield player, can be an aerial threat in the box. Ross Barkley is more creative, good on set pieces. They're building a really good squad to make them able to be very versatile throughout.
I was hoping Ross Barkley would be able to stay with Luton because he really changed that team around when he got in there. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
because you'd stay there if you went to the Championship, right? Or rather go back to Aston Villa and play Championship.
It ain't my money. I was hoping he would stay. It also revitalized his career when he went there. So sometimes you want to pay that back, you know? Not you. But no,
don't put that. I'm just saying. Let's be honest about it.
Or whatever.
If we were all here, and, you know, you did well, you proved yourself. Yes, great for Luton, and then you get asked to come back to a club that's playing Champions League football in the Premier League.
Of course, you got to take that.
At your age, we're all going to say, yeah, we're going to.
I wonder what his salary also was at Luton. They dropped down.
What is Ross Barkley? 32?
He's 30.
30. Oh wow, he looks much older. Jesus, stress lines on that guy.
Alexis.
Yes.
Who's your winner?
This is going to shock everyone, I think.
Okay.
But Manchester United, actually. Yeah. I'm seeing some signs early on. A lot of stuff that remind me of Mikel Arteta's early days with the club. You win an FA Cup, you garner a little bit of confidence. And one of the big moves, to me, you can focus on the ins. And I think they're two very good signings. I know Lenny Euro is injured for a bit. Joshua Zirkzee, I think, is going to offer a lot of creativity up front. A player that feels like the right move for an Erik ten Hag system versus what I think Antony has turned out to be. But again, great players up front. Lenny Euro on the back line, I think, is going to prove to be a generational talent once he gets healthy. But I'm looking primarily at the outs. And I think this is what reminds me a little bit of Mikel Arteta's time, is that process of let's get rid of the dead weight. Let's get rid of the pieces that not only don't fit the club, but aren't here for the badge. And I think that's massive, both front office and on the pitch. And when I'm looking at Rafael Varane, who clearly at times spoke and felt like he had turned off. Donny van der Beek never worked out. I can't even believe he was still in the books. Mason Greenwood, for the culture of this club, you can't have someone that is had the experiences he's had, I'll say it that way, still at the club. And Anthony Martial, it's about time he moves on. Those are all pieces that feel like, all right, you move them out, you can start to revitalize this squad a little bit. And it feels like with the stands backing Erik ten Hag and you would assume that the new owners do, that Ineos are backing him as well, especially after they bring him back, that this is going to usher in a new era for both Erik ten Hag and Manchester United. It feels that way early on.
I think, too, the fact that Ten Hag and Jadon Sancho have been able to kind of, water under the... But
that's going to feel like a new signing. Yeah, 100%.
Sue, don't be fooled. Trust me, there will still be tension. That trust will never be the same.
Well,
it doesn't need to be great.
It needs to be good enough. Jadon Sancho needs to play.
It needs to be good enough where Jadon Sancho feels comfortable that he's going to be picked.
It behooves both parties.
Exactly.
For the water to go under the bridge.
Yes, it does. But, from a player's perspective, when you go through something like that, it's never the same. Sancho knows he has to perform for himself. I still just don't see that working out. And I agree with what you're saying with some of the deadwood. I still feel there's about 6 or 7 still at that club that they need to get rid of.
Absolutely.
One of the other great signings that you didn't mention there was Ruud van Nistelrooy coming in, joining the coaching staff. As an assistant, I think that's a great signing by the club.
Great signing for the club. If I'm Erik ten Hag, I'm like, what's this dude doing here?
But he knows the club.
What's this guy, my assistant?
He knows the club. He commands instant respect. But for me, definitely, Lenny Euro is a magnificent signing. Because we talk about teams. I always say teams are built through the foundation of defence first. He, for me, is like one of the first pieces you're bringing together, more than likely with partner Martinez. And you talk about the great times of Manchester United, there's always been great centre-back partnerships. That is the first building block of building a solid foundation where you can build on from that. The best teams that win league titles, win cups, always have 2 solid centre-backs, 2 reliable defensive centre-backs, and you build forward. I think he is a significant signing for this club. Zirkzee, waiting to see how he fits in still.
There's a lot of upside to him, though. How much improved is this Manchester United team as opposed to the one from last season?
It's improved. It definitely has improved. There's signs of improvement there, but I still feel there's a long way to go still. Okay. there definitely is a long way to go.
It's always with the signings. It's difficult to say have they improved, have they haven't played a single game, right? We don't know.
It's more about addressing
yeah.
needs.
Pre-season gives you a little insight.
Where were the weaknesses
There's
last
some
year?
teams.
Right.
They've addressed them.
Well, you can see with signings is the direction where these boards and management, where they want to go and the vision that they see the club in for this season, for the following season after that.
Would you not also agree that it also shows confidence in the manager? Giving them the opportunity to go out and get these signings?
The question is, I would say saying that now, I wouldn't say as much. It depends on the manager. It's not one shoe fits all. There's a lot of managers who are there but have no say in what players come in. The modern game now is dictated by the directors of football. You can go and say, I want a striker. You might not get the striker that you specifically want. It's more from the list that they've compiled and they pick and say, here's your striker, now you have to work with him.
Yeah, it's a head coach.
So I wouldn't say, for right now, Manchester United, I wouldn't say he's getting a massive say, Erik ten Hag, in what's happening. There's a lot of clubs we can discuss where I don't think those managers have the power. If it's Pep or if it was Klopp, they have all the power. Whoever they want, they will get. But other managers, I don't think they've got that much as influence as we might think.
We shall see. All right, I guess I'm up. My transfer window winner is Bayern Munich, who've added some pretty decent pieces. A really nice attacking piece in Michael Olise, who's been sensational in the Olympics. João Palhinha. Is it Palhinha?
Palhinha.
Palhinha.
You got the LH is at like the GL in Italian.
I know. Brian Zaragoza. I think that in the same conversation we were having about Manchester United, they've addressed some areas of need for themselves. Defensively, last year, I think, was a real issue for Bayern Munich. And now there's some rumors of Jonathan Tah from Leverkusen coming over to
Let's just buy all the good center backs.
Exactly. But that was a big issue for them last year. But when you think about, the Paulinho maybe sitting a little bit behind that attack and that Olise on the wing, I think that Harry Kane up top, it's looking more and more like a Bayern Munich complete.
They needed
side.
to solidify that midfield too. Obviously, the defensive issues. The defensive
Which
issues
is crazy because they went and got Kim Min-jae, who was the best center back at that time.
But he didn't look good last season.
So did Upamecano. Upamecano was one of the better center backs.
Wasn't good. No,
so
and then you get Dyer, you get Ito now, and you have some stuff to work with. And let's see if he moves or not. I imagine they're anticipating a little bit more movement there if they can have all 5 guys that have been starting on other teams in Europe. But the midfield, with Goretzka kind of dropping off a little bit, they give a little bit of stability, knowing that you have a guy like Pavlovic, who is the young, promising guy in the midfield with the creativity, help a lot with the balance, with the technical side of things, have somebody to kind of usher him in and help him out.
Palhinha is a great signing. Palhinha is an absolute great signing for them. I think it is.
2 injured tongues on this desk.
When you look at Bundesliga, last season as well, what Leverkusen did, Bayern Munich will be very upset and angry and jealous of that. What Leverkusen achieved in the Bundesliga, that was a real stiff jab to the face, and Bayern are shaken by it, and that's why they've brought in those reinforcements and address some vital areas for them. They mean business this year.
Look at the odds with a young, relatively unproven manager. And they're at -225. That's a huge vote of confidence for Bayern.
That's what happens when you win 11
titles. When it's your league. And also, don't forget, the media in all of Germany, not just in Munich, in all of Germany is 90% Bayern Munich and what they're doing and 10% everyone else. The pressure will forever be on Bayern Munich. Seemingly, with these moves, they're back on the right path.
You know where Champions League final is this season?
Where?
Munich?
Allianz.
Is it?
At the Allianz Arena?
Are you kidding me?
Home game?
You could say that with a lot more enthusiasm.
Do you think Harry Kane wins a trophy this year?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Although I said Bayer Leverkusen, the Pokal.
Hey, Pokal.
Yesterday in the...
How about you? Harry Kane wins a trophy this season?
Bayern Munich to win the league title.
Same.
They better win the league title.
Imagine he gets transferred in January.
If they don't win the league title this year, it's going to be...
So evil. That was like
That's a big one on Company. The indictment on Company,
if they don't
this
win.
vote of confidence that Bayern has done onto this manager that got relegated in the Premier League. New possession-based from the Pep tree.
I will say this now. No, but I'll say this now. I don't believe that company will get like a full season. If there's any kind of signs of trouble or turmoil,
What?
I don't think they'll hesitate.
They're not giving him a longer leash?
I don't think they'll hesitate.
Bayern,
don't think they're gonna give.
Bayern is ruthless. Are you kidding?
I don't think they'll hesitate, especially with what happened last year.
Unless it's a
with the squad
complete
they brought in.
capitulation.
I'm telling you, I don't think they'll hesitate. I will stick to that.
That's crazy. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Our producer said, everyone check your pockets before we go to break.
Oh, man. Phone,
I
keys,
still have
wallet.
I
Imagine
told
I'm
you,
like-
mine are tight right here.
Don't trust any of these boys.
Oh, yeah? What about this? Nigel's wallet. This really is Nigel's wallet.
Nigel's wallet from what? The clubs in 1970?
Yeah, I know, dude.
So stealth.
That
all
cow
right.
died. That cow died before photos were in color.
We're taking a break, everybody.